rider, Japan welcomes, just a bit of an update video on my FJ. Feels like I'm going backwards with it at the moment because I seem to be needing to do one little job, and then while I'm doing that I'll just do something else, and then while I'm doing that I'll do something else. So now, after I went on it a few times, but it was still a bit dodgy with the starting. It just wouldn't start sometimes. Sometimes the button wouldn't do anything, so you cleaned out the switch, start a relay, starter, like different starter on there, replacing all that, and then it works again for a bit, and then it just wouldn't start, like it's getting no spark. There was just weird things going on, so I'm so nervous of breaking down, just sort of scared to go out on it. So I want it to be reliable, I want to enjoy it, like with no anxiety, because breaking down out here in Japan is just more of a problem for me than it would have been in London, because just the language really, just calling for recovery in that. So anyway, so I'm happy to raise the level of it, because to give you a bit of a backstory, this bike was a gift to myself when I lived in London, when my twin daughters were born. And having the bike really changed my life for the better. Like, I just really rediscovered motorcycling. So I hadn't been on the bike for like 15 odd years. So I really enjoyed it, and I customized it, got into like working on the mechanics and stuff. So learning a lot, just really enjoying the ownership experience. But not long after our daughters were born, we ended up deciding to live in Japan. It's cheaper, it's just a nicer place to raise a family. And my wife's Japanese, by the way, that's why we decided to come here. And yeah, so I had to sell all my toys. I had a Jaguar, I had a Mark II Polo, I had this bike and a Thunder Race. All customized, like I enjoyed them all, but I had to sell them all. But my main one I was so sad to leave was this FJ. And even after being in Japan, like a year and a half, I think I was here a year, then I bought the R1. And then like another bit of time later, still really missed the FJ, even though I got an R1 to ride around. So I ended up contacting the guy who I sold it to in England, and he still had it. And then we ended up sort of just chatting over a few months and sort of arranging for me to buy it back and get it back here. So here we are. Took loads of time, loads of trouble, but anyway, having fun with it. But I was impatient to just get on it and ride it and use it, but I want to raise the quality of it, and it proved itself still being a little bit unreliable. So yeah, doing loads of things to it to get it going properly, and just got to be patient really, and just do things properly. So yeah, starting problems, clean out the switch, all that, repainted that recently, doing the wiring. I was having problems with the wiring loom. Sometimes it would start, sometimes it wouldn't. And a motorcycle electronics guy come and looked, and he didn't like the look of some repairs that had been done on my loom. So I bought a second-hand loom, but much better condition than what my one was. So that guy is now modifying it to suit this bike a bit more. There was still some ABS stuff on the back I don't need, because I took all the ABS out of this bike, which is a great modification, by the way. You'd be amazed at how much nicer the brake feels when there's no ABS system. So what else are we doing? Yeah, doing a few modifications just so all the wires sit more comfortably, because there's no fairing on this bike, and normally on the FJs the wiring and plugs go down the side there, and there's things down that side. I've got all mine sort of coiled up and tucked in there, so the wires are not comfortable when they're getting very hot when they're not meant to. So that may have just caused problems over a bit of time. So anyway, it's been modified so it suits this bike better. What else are we doing? I just put new coils on yesterday, so that should eliminate any problems I may have been having with that. Oh yeah, carbs. Took the carbs off because I was doing the wiring loom. I just thought, just carbs look dirty. They may be an issue as well. They're probably due a clean out. So I'm taking those off. I researched people like overhauling them for me. It's quite expensive, and I thought, you know what? I would like to learn about carburetors, because I don't know. This is like black magic area for me. I don't really know anything about them. So I've got them upstairs in my workshop room. I'm going to clear out a table, get a proper workspace for it, and really take my time and take them apart and clean them up nicely, and do all the research, watch all the YouTube videos, get some books or whatever. Try and learn about carburetors and cleaning them out and tuning them up and whatever. So I'd like to learn that, but yeah, it's a bit of an endeavour. So I just got to be patient really. I want to use the bike, but I've got the R1 to use, so I'll just take my time with this and do things properly, and I'm enjoying the learning process. So it's all good at the end of the day. But yeah, apart from that, cleaned the brakes up, may replace those. Those are a modification I did, but they're years old now, wouldn't mind changing them. I would love to get the R1 brakes on this, because the R1 brakes are amazing. They're really good on that bike, and they do fit on here. Simple swap over. I think you've got to change the little reservoir on the top, but you may not have to, I don't know, someone else did that I saw a video of. But those brakes would be amazing on this bike, because these don't perform that well. It might just be because it's got so much more weight. They're just not as good as compared to the R1. So I wouldn't mind some proper brakes on there. What else have we done? Yeah, so all the brakes have been done. Doing the carbs, all new bolts on top here. My ones were all rusted out. blasted it all clean. It was all just full of grease and bits of crap in there in the engine. So it had to be skimmed. It was like leaking oil out the side there, so they skimmed it. This is something I paid other people to do for me. Yeah, new gasket obviously, put that back together. The engine's good, the engine's healthy, everybody reckons. Compressions and all that, which is good news. Taking all this gubbins out, looking at the state of my rear swing arm. I found one for sale, second hand, looks almost brand new, so I may get that. It's not even that expensive, it's like 40 quid or something. So I may replace that. I suppose you've got an old bike. That's so bad when I look at it closely. When you've got an old bike, 'cause I'm doing it on my R1, I'm just collecting parts, even if I don't need them. They might be really difficult to get in the future. So I'm just collecting little bits. This is a bit bad as well. You can get upgrades, but the ones I always see, I've got these like horrible bright blue and red anodized parts on there. I think they look horrible. I'd rather just put a standard one on there. You can get XJR13, I think. Ones are a bit bigger that people put on these, but you need a little bracket or something, a little adapter to fit them on nicely. But I don't know, I like keeping things standard where I can. I like changing the look of bikes, but I want them to work as they should, or as Yamaha designed them. I think you start deviating from that, you cause other problems you didn't foresee. Anyway, whatever. But anyway, yeah, once I've got the carbs doing and the wiring done and it's starting and running nicely and I trust it a bit more, I will then do the swing arm, sprockets, new chain. Possibly while I'm doing that, I may end up getting the rear wheel or both wheels painted properly, new tyres. It just needs everything basically. I'll just go through it bit by bit. It's expensive, it's slow progress, but it's all part of the fun. It'd be boring if I just had a bike, you just get on it and use it as much as you want without a care. I kind of enjoy the ownership experience, sorting out little problems. I'm going to wire this up. This is a aftermarket Speedo I did up. I did a previous video on fixing this up. So I made a custom little bracket for that, so that sits at the height I want, nice and strong. That's black, but it's actually the positive, so I'm going to wire that in, or get that guy to do the little plug for me so I can plug it into the headlight wiring, so it just comes on, lights up with the headlight. Anyway, just figure it out as I go along, innit? So I just want to do an update video for my FJ. And then, by the way, something I've just discovered this year. This is now redundant, my windscreen shade. Nearly threw it away, and I thought, you know what, it's a good little work mat. So when I'm taking the tank off and bits off, I put it down on the ground, and then it's a nice little spot to stop my things getting lost or getting scratched up on the ground. So yeah, they're useful, very cheap, nice little work mats. R1 in rude health as usual, and that's it for my bike updates.